Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Holt End Talks. You're joined as always by myself, Scott Acton, and Jamie Acton. Aaron is still away on holiday in Benidorm, but he should hopefully be back for the next one. Joe, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, other than obviously cutting the top of my finger off and now being off work for the week. Apart from that, I'm all right. Yeah. Anyway, enough said about that. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Um, Right, Crystal Palace preview for the game Sunday. Obviously, it was meant to be Friday night. It's been moved to Sunday because of Palace being in um, the Conference League now, qualifiers. Um, Going on, obviously, what we saw from the game against Brentford, are you expecting changes?
I would like to see changes, yeah. But whether or not he does, is, one thing we've learnt with Unai is that he's quite stubborn. Um, so obviously, Esri was only one match ban, I'm pretty sure, so he should be coming back in. I imagine he'll slot in against Ty. I think we need Mings in there. I think we saw in the semi-final at Wembley. Just even the home game last year, I think, or it might have even been the year before. Yeah, it was the year before when Duran scored the volley where Mateta outmuscled Torres on our right hand side in the second half, I think it was. And then again, he had it a few times again in the semi final at Wembley. We can't. No, I think Mings is a must. He'll be the first name on the team sheet. I'd like to see Matson.
Yeah,
I
me
think,
too.
yeah, I think we need pace, and that goes on to the forward line when you look at Marlon, Gasson, like we need to get these guys playing. Like Gasson looked like a bit of a live wire. That's just what you need. Someone just to get you off your seat a bit because it's been so boring, and that's no fault to McGinn's because McGinn ain't a winger. McGinn should be playing central, and Rogers, in my opinion, he's our best player when he's playing off a volley centrally. Like he has to play central, and maybe with the injury to Buba, maybe that forces Emery's hand with putting Tielemans deeper, allowing Rogers to go in the 10. Hopefully, but yeah, I just think if we need to keep McGinn off of that side. But to be fair, even if he is on that side, you need someone exciting on the left hand side, and Rogers ain't the same. Rogers is exciting when he's in the 10, but he's completely different when he's out wide, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the trouble with the Brentford game is when Guinea was getting it, Kashi was never on the overlap, was he? Now,
No,
listen, Kashi was obviously being told to make the back three, but it just every time that it meant McGinn had to hold his width, and he's no good on the touchline. He needs to be in. Do you think that he will? Obviously, Kamara's injured. Do you think he'll make a double change in there and drop an Anna and maybe go with Yori and McGinn as the double pivot, or do you think
that
he'll keep an Anna?
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I don't. We've touched on Onana a bit before. Like he has had some glimpses. Onana, I think the Bournemouth away was the first game without Yuri last towards the end of last season, and he was a man of the match. He was unbelievable that game. But I just think he's our record signing for the amount of money we paid for him. He doesn't get into a lot of people's starting 11s, and he's just like I mean he can't control his price tag. That's not his fault, but I just when we bought him, Everton fans was I have two of my mates are Everton fans, and one of them was saying he's just you paid 50 odd million pound for a cheerleader. He gives it the big net at the end, and that's kind of it. He's a bit flaky in the challenge, and for his size, he doesn't really put it about. He'll have one good game for every four bad games, and then I didn't believe it because that West Ham game he was class. For Arsenal at home he was okay, but then he just kind of I think he scored again, didn't he, against Leicester, and then he got injured, and then he was again just flaky. And I think the Everton
Yeah,
game at home he was flaky in that first Dwight McNeil goal, and yeah.
yeah. I heard a stat in the last couple of days that since he's signed, he's only started 10 games. I don't know if that was
Mm.
Premier League games or in all competitions, but again, as your £50 million like record signing. he probably doesn't get into most Villa fans starting 11, which is a problem. And that's not saying he should be better than Yuri or Kamara or McGinn, but like he's got so many good attributes. And I see like a few things that I've listened to over the last couple of days. He's come in for a bit of stick, but he's got like for me, he should be like a Yaya Toure esque.
Yeah.
Listen, Yaya Toure was an unbelievable football player, but he should get around the pitch a lot better. And one of his strides is like 10 of mine. Like he should be dominating possession, dominating areas of the pitch. Do you think there's a case that he would be better having a bit more freedom and he wasn't playing in such a rigid system and how the double pivots play? And
Yeah, yeah, possibly, but I mean, where do you play him? Because the only other way you could play is he ain't going to play off of Ollie as a 10, is he? So,
no, I
how
know.
obviously Emery has Boober and Yuri and McGinn playing, like he says, in the double pivot. Like Doug, you've done it better than anyone else when he was with us. You're sticking, yeah, it is very rigid and it's so systematic, which is the problem with football now. It is a bit boring to like, watching it if you're watching it as a neutral. But if that's what Unai wants, that's what he wants. But I just don't feel like he suits us to the T. Where again, he's competing with Boober and Yuri, who are two of the best midfielders in the Prem, and then McGinn would be ahead of him in my books as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just for me. Yeah, I really don't know where he kind of fits in because he doesn't get an off starting 11 for me, and then you got McGinn ahead of him, and depending on the game, depending on the fan, some people will probably even put Barkley over him. Again, he can't control his price tag. That's not his fault, but it's just for someone of his size, he's the biggest person in the squad alongside Ty and probably Martinez, and he just doesn't put his weight around. He's so flaky in the challenge, and he got
yeah, he's got
all
all
the
the
time.
attributes.
Yeah, he
He's
does.
got
Yeah, yeah, everything. But then he just, yeah, he's just. It's frustrating because obviously you put yourself in that situation, which is biased because you're a Villa fan and you'd run through a brick wall. So he expects everyone else to do the same. But obviously in his head, he might be thinking, because obviously there was those links to Al Hilal, wasn't there? And I saw
yeah,
again that came up again a few days ago. In his head, he might be thinking, "Oh, hold on, if he wants to go there, why would I go into a 50-50, or if I can come off, and then I will come off because maybe his eyes on there. You don't know what goes on with players nowadays,
no,
but
no, I know what you
yeah,
mean.
uh,
In terms of the two double pivots then for the Palace, if we were picking it, I'm guessing we would both go Guinea and Yori.
yeah, I would,
Yeah,
yeah.
with Rodgers obviously probably more central, and I don't know because we've obviously not spoke about it yet, but Gresson and Marlon out wide
Yeah, that's what I'd
if we
have.
were
I'd
picking the
have
team.
if we were picking a team, yeah, I'd have Gasson and Marlon. Marlon on the right, Gasson on the left, and obviously Ollie up front. And you have Matson on the overlap. And I just think, you'd have Marlon holding that width where he's isolated out there, but he's isolated 1v1. He can beat his fullback 1v1. Same with Gasson, if they swap over, he'll be able to beat his man 1v1, whereas Guinea's never going to beat his man 1v1. That's just not his game.
Yeah,
Um, so that was why Bailey was so good in that season when we qualified for Champions League. 'Cause he was isolated out wide, but he was beating his man near enough every time. And, left foot, right foot, he was sound. And you think with Roger, I've said it a few times on the way up to Villa with you, it's like Roger's central. If you had pace in beyond, I know Ollie's relatively quick, but we don't really know how quick Cassandra is. But if you have, you have a Matson and you also have a Marlon there, they're absolutely rapid. You've got Rogers there, whose weight of pass is actually okay. He could, you know, how I look at it, you build your team around Rogers, and we'll be
yeah.
fine. You having
No, I agree.
Yuri, I think we spoke about it already. Like Yuri's the only holding midfielder we have that can play those line breaking forward passes. You having
100%.
him, so if you have Yuri deeper, whoever's plays in the 10, Rogers, Buendia, whoever, Marlon, whoever it may be, they're going to get the ball a lot more if Yuri's playing deeper. And if it is Rogers, Rogers is going to create more chances than Marlon or Emmy combined when he's in that pocket. and just
Yeah.
pace scares. Like as a defender, like it absolutely is. When you've got pace coming in behind, you don't know whether to drop, whether to hold, like, and then if one person's not on that line with you, it's done. And once they're gone, they're so quick, you ain't going to be able to catch up to them. We saw what happened with Dango on the weekend, where one flick on, Powell's a bit flaky in the challenge, and there's as he was going through, I didn't know whether he was going to score or not, but I was like, we're not going to catch him. There's zero chance in
No.
hell. Like we're not going to catch him whatsoever.
This the one thing that from the Brentford game that we really was quite apparent is that we had no pace, like out and out pace, especially in attacking areas. Atara, like you said, once he got past Powell, you thought if Emmy can save it, then he saved it. If not, it's a goal.
Yeah,
Um, I'll throw this. Why do you think there's a reluctancy to play Marlon?
I don't know.
Do you think
I
there's
think.
any reason? Because at the moment, from my point of view, is we bought him in on what would you say was a good price for what
Mm,
he'd done at Dortmund the year before. And we're crying out for pace. I thought when Grosson come on, he looked like he always wanted to beat his player, but Marlon, what he has to do to get a start is beyond me. But do you think there's something's happened, or do you think he doesn't quite fit into what Emery wants?
I feel like because so Marlon finished, I think he got 13 goals, and he was tied. I can't remember who he was tied with, but he was tied with Dortmund's top goal scorer the year before we
Yeah,
signed him. And then he
yeah,
was
that's it.
playing. He was playing right off the right and as a nine. And I feel like maybe Emery thought of him more as a right-sided player, but then maybe he's now thought actually I think he's more of a nine, because in pre-season he was playing a lot as a nine.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well,
it's
and
the
you
case
think
of.
maybe he can't shoehorn him out onto the right hand side because he doesn't see him there now that he's actually seen him.
Yeah, I feel like again trying to think how Unai trying to think how he would think it is maybe he's brought him in as a right-sided player. Obviously, then last season you bring in the Asensios, the Rashfords, etc. He didn't get a lot of game time. I think he sees him more as a nine. We saw in that Tottenham game in the FA Cup, him as a nine, he was class. But
Yeah,
obviously you got Ollie there, who Ollie as a striker is obviously better. So he's thinking, I'd rather someone be on that right hand side who's inverted that can recycle play or again beat his man. But for me, for me, I'd have him on the right hand side or even the left because he had the game in America. I want to say it was against St. Louis, where he scored the goal from the left hand side, and he just cut in and put in the one top right, but it was like middle right, side
yeah, I
netting,
know.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and it was class. And it's like, well, why can't he go off the left and have Gasson come in off the right? Because Gasson played as a striker, and he dropped into like that Rogers role with the central slash right hand, like a Mazzala sort of thing. That's where he played a lot of last season as well. So why can't Marlon play on the left? They're interchangeable. Like even if you had Gassond off a volley, which he done a bit last season, and then you have a Rogers off the left, Marlon off the right, or if that don't work, you have a Rogers central,
yeah.
Marlon left, Gasson right. Yeah, you can change
We
it.
were doing that in pre-season, weren't we? In a few of the games,
Yeah,
there were times where the front three, say behind Ollie, were interchanging. 2 games into the league season, we haven't seen it. I mean, we won't be too negative because we're just solely talking on Palace, and obviously the Brentford game was a bad weekend, and we've done a video on that already. We'll try and move on. In terms of, do you think is it too early that this is a must-win? You don't really want to go into the international break without having um, at least one win you know, on record. Do you think this is a must win because we go into the international break otherwise either on 2 points or 1 point?
yeah, yeah. I
Or
mean,
is it
I
too early
thought.
for that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be 2 points dropped if we didn't beat Newcastle. Obviously, hindsight, we got a sending off, so you take the point. But even then, I was saying it's 2 points dropped if we don't win.
Yeah, and
And
I think if
then,
you watched the Newcastle Liverpool game when Newcastle went down to 10 men, they're still having a go. I know Liverpool obviously scored right at the death, but they're still having a go. I think when we went down to 10 men, we just kind of thought, right, we'll take a point.
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
different managers. I feel like Unai is very cautious, whereas
yeah,
Eddie Howe's always been that. Like even as Bournemouth side, they're very much on the front foot, whereas like we'll
yeah.
die with die on our sword sort of thing. So Yeah, that's just in my opinion, that's just how the managers are thinking. Eddie Howe was never going to sit in; he was always going to go for it, especially at home.
Yeah.
Whereas Unai, in that time, negatively so, he was probably thinking, "I'd rather hold on here."
So yes or no, must win for Sunday.
So yeah, no, I'd already because you look at the gap we have already. If you're just talking Champions League, spaces, you've got teams here. I think you've got three. I think you've got Spurs, Arsenal, and Liverpool. They're already
Yeah,
five
all on
points ahead.
six. Yeah.
They're already 5 points ahead of us. So they win again, and then we don't, and then we draw. It's just that gap. It's just getting big. We'll just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think it's a must win.
Yeah,
But before we wrap it up, because we just wanted to do a quick preview, score predictions, because we are keeping a track this season on every game. So far, we've all been completely wrong. So, score
yeah.
prediction for this one.
My Super Six is awful.
I mean,
I'll
I'm
go.
top of the
I'll.
Super Six Family League, but I've got the Villa scores wrong both times.
You're top on 6 points. um, I'll go 2-1, 2-1 Villa.
Okay, yeah,
Because
I'm gonna
Mateo or Sar's
go.
going to score against us. It's inevitable.
Saar will 100% score. I
Yeah,
think that's why Matson has to start just for the pacing behind and Saar making
yeah,
that run
hundred percent,
from
hundred
the right
percent.
channel from outside to in. I'm
Yeah,
going to go for 3-1. We might find our scoring boots and just, you know, go for it.
yeah,
But that's me being very optimistic. Right,
yeah.
that would do for the Palace preview. Before we finish the video, though, we have now hit 300 subscribers on YouTube and 2,000 followers on TikTok. So I'll hand it over to you because we're going to do a little competition.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little competition. So, like Scotty just said, 300 subscribers on YouTube and then 2,000 on TikTok. Obviously, it's a big thing for us. I think we done one at 100 subscribers. But yeah, so all you have to do to enter is be subscribed to the YouTube, comment on this video, and also follow us on TikTok. And now automatically enter you into the competition. And is the prize going to be the same? The 30, was it the same?
Yeah, yeah, the prize can be like I don't know, £50 voucher or something like that for
Yeah,
either the Villa shop or
I think
I think we done
last time we
30
done
last
30,
time, didn't we?
we done £30 for classic football shirts last time, didn't we?
Yeah, we can
So
do
yeah,
like 50 for the Villa store or something.
it'll be 50, yeah, like 50 quid voucher for the Villa store. But yeah, all you have to do is comment on this video, subscribe to the YouTube, and also follow us on TikTok. And that's all you have to do. And then we're not sure when it'll be announced. It'll probably be in the next
We'll
video
let it,
after, I'd
yeah,
imagine.
we'll let it run until through the international break and the first game back, which I think is Everton. We will announce it in the preview for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, like you said, I mean, when we first started doing it, we probably didn't think we'd even hit, 10 subscribers. So I know it's not like the numbers aren't huge compared to some Villa podcasts, but for us, and we've only just started, so we appreciate all the support that we've had. We've not had too much negative, no, the odd negative comment here and there, mainly about Aaron, but we all think that.
it's always just
um,
about like the fan engagement as well. I think that's what we were saying. It's nice just
yeah,
to engage with fans and like
that's all. Yeah,
you go on the socials and like it says up at Villa Park and that you see different fans and you chat to them about stuff. It's because I feel like with a lot of podcasts, it's the same opinions all the time. Whereas you go on the TikTok, the engagement is quite good, and like
yeah,
even the fantasy that we set up, I think it's good to
yeah,
kind of build that, even though it's a small community, building it up, and I think it's important.
yeah, and that's obviously why we try and get different guests on, mainly through people that like we talk to on TikTok or whatnot that are Villa
Yeah,
related. But so far, yeah, we're really enjoying it. So thanks for all the support. Do what Jay said. We'll put it on the TikTok. We are going to wrap it up there. We'll be back in the international break after the Palace game to discuss. I will say, as of filming this, we've made no signings, so we might have made a signing before the Palace game. Who knows? But as of right now, we've made no signings, hence the 11 that we've picked.
to be
But yeah,
fair,
we'll leave it there.
Palace ain't made many signings either, so it's battle of the shitters really, innit?
No, true, yeah. Okay, perfect. Right, up the Villa. We'll see you soon. And I know Palace are our bogey team, but roll on Sunday.
Yep. Up with Villa.